Welcome to the Dr. G and Kevin Lawrence Show. I'm Kevin Lawrence in studio with my dad, Dr. Gary Lawrence. We are a father and son team dedicated to helping you create your new financial future today. Dr. G and I firmly believe there is a solution to your financial situation. So as you listen, we hope you'll be entertained, educated, and encouraged. So glad that you're riding along with us today. So when you are having a conversation about money, me, you, anyone, but if we're going to discuss money, if we're going to talk about building your financial future, starting a business, any of that conversation, you have to talk about risk. See, but risk by its very nature is scary. I mean, let's face it. You, your friends, your family, everyone wants to avoid risk. We don't want to face risk. But your unwillingness to face risk could be the very thing keeping you stuck where you are. Business leader and best-selling author Jim Rohn says it this way: if you are unwilling to risk the unusual, you will have to settle for the ordinary. So I'm going to say that again. If you're unwilling to risk the unusual, then you will have to settle for the ordinary. See, the best way for you to reach the success you say you want, you'll need to risk more than others think is safe. You'll need to care more than others think is wise. You'll need to dream more than others think is practical. And you'll have to expect more than others think is possible.
Boy, Kevin, as I heard you share all those thoughts with our audience, one of the prominent thoughts that came to my mind is, boy, you talk about a risky situation. Work for someone else for 40 years so that you can retire on 40% of what you made.
Yes.
I mean, you stop and think about that. You talk about a risk.
Yes.
When you rent yourself out to someone else instead of creating your own financial platform, that's a risky bet. That's a risky situation.
Well, it is. And Dad, I was going to say, I know that you and Mom are clear on what risk is. I mean, at the age of 64, you had to start over financially, and that was risky. Felt risky, didn't
you know
it?
what the risk was, yes. By the way, you're listening to the Dr. G and Kevin Lawrence Show. And Kevin, your mother and I had that very successful counseling practice for 25 years. And when I retired at the age of 59, 6 weeks later, I found out we lost most of our portfolio in the stock crash. And so you talk about a risk. For 25 years, we invested in the stock market, mutual funds, and stocks.
Right.
And then when it came time for me to retire, the money wasn't there. That was a risk. I mean, I might as well have taken my retirement money and gone to Las Vegas, okay, for all the benefit I got out of what I did. And here I am, I'm 59 and no retirement, so we lived on what we had left for the next 5 years. And then at the age of 64, we just flat ran out of money, and that's when I was introduced to Renatus. And I decided I'm going to re-educate myself, and I'm going to learn how to become a successful real estate investor. Now, and I appreciate what you're saying. That might have looked like a risk, but you know what the real risk was?
Putting all your money in the stock market and hoping it worked?
Well, no, we know that didn't. The real risk was if I was going to depend on my social insecurity so I could be comfortable financially.
Oh, that's not even a risk. That's just ridiculous.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah.
Well, and I'll tell you what, the guest that we have live in the studio, he knows all too well what risk is all about. Andy Wilkinson, 35-year-old entrepreneur. Hey, he was born and raised in Chicago. He's from Chicago, man. And he spent 18 years there, and then he went on to college to pursue a bachelor's degree, completed his master's degree in mechanical engineering, and stayed in the automotive industry for 16 years. And he was the lead responsible for advanced research and development for North America. But he had a wake-up call. He began to realize what the real risk was. During the 2008 downturn in the economy, he said, I realized that only having one source of income from a job was not enough. And now just a little over a year ago, he decided to become part of the Renatus real estate investing community. And now he's a full-time real estate investor, entrepreneur. Andy Wilkinson, joy to have you in the studio, buddy.
Thank you very much, Dr. G. I'm honored to be here.
Well, and you know what? It's a joy to have you here, Kevin. Tell our audience, from your perspective, what you think of this guy who's our guest.
I think Andy's great. I remember Andy the first time we met. We were at one of our events, and I hadn't met you before. New face in the community, and you and I are about the same height. I'm 6'5". How tall are you?
6'3" with my shoes off. I look up to you a little bit.
But still, anyone, 6'2" and up, I notice. I'm like, hey, someone else tall around here. That's good, And so I just recognize that about you right away. Great smile, and I just tell right away, Andy's one of those guys. You got stuff going on, man. I mean, you make things happen. You got things going. So since we've become acquainted, it's just gotten better, man. So I'm glad you're in studio with us.
Thank you very much,
Andy. Would you share with our audience your story? Why is it after 16 years of job security, you decided to get out of the automobile industry? What was going on in your life at that time?
Well, Dr. G, really, I was looking for more. I had 16 years, and I was very successful. I was, quote unquote, climbing the corporate ladder. But I realized when I when I actually would calculate retirement and what my motivation was when I thought I would be able to quit working, the numbers just didn't add up. And having the one paycheck coming in, it didn't make any sense to me. And like I said, I was fortunate. I received several increases in pay and fancy job titles and all that, but it just wasn't enough.
Well, now, see, that's interesting, Andy, because most people go, hey, this is what we're taught in America anyway. I don't know about the rest of the country, but in America, you went to school, you did the formula. You went to school, you got a degree, you're with a large corporation, okay, doing well, advancing, getting the titles, getting the income, the benefits, 401k, and all that kind of stuff, and health benefits. What on God's green earth makes you go, I'm out. I'm leaving this stuff. Well, that's what you're supposed to do, right? You're foolish for doing that.
And in your bio, you said you were actually looking for an exit from corporate America.
Absolutely.
And I'm going to tell you something. The average person that listens to us, they say, "Are you insane? Why are you smoking?" I mean, man, you had a secure job. You were making decent income, weren't you?
I was making very good income. Yeah.
So answer the question. Why were you looking?
On the spot.
My wife tends to ask me the same question.
Well, now that's a good question because we're talking about literally stepping away from a job situation that was good, but you said you wanted more. So you were actively looking for an exit, a way out of the corporate environment.
I was.
Why?
For freedom and independence. I'm the kind of guy that likes to do what I want to do when I want to do that. Mm-hmm. And
are you saying you didn't make a good employee?
That is correct.
And now, where was Jody emotionally on all this? Because you guys have been married for just a little over 2 years, so it was about a year ago when you said bye-bye corporate America. Where was Jody?
She was pregnant with my son, Zachary.
Oh, perfect timing.
So that made it just a lovely conversation. But what she told me, and I will never, ever, ever forget this, is when I was going through to make this decision, which was a relatively large decision.
Big time.
With a pregnant wife
and
a new son coming into our life. She told me to do whatever makes me happy.
Wow.
I had never, honestly, I shouldn't say I've never heard that before, but job-related or career-related, those thoughts honestly never came to my mind. Wow. So when she told me that, I just stopped and was thinking, well, one, I love this woman, and two, okay.
Okay.
So I honestly thought of what would make me truly happy.
Now, do you want to say that a little louder? I love this woman. A little louder.
I love this woman.
There you go. Jody, you heard it live on the radio.
We've got it. It's recorded, man. You can never go back on it now.
She's an awesome lady. I'm so glad I had the opportunity to meet Jody and your son, Zach, right?
That's correct.
He's a cute little guy.
Thank you very much.
So here you are now at the age of 35. You already own 2 rental properties.
I do, yep.
And you're doing a fix and flip right now. So you really, you literally embraced the Renatus real estate investing education system, haven't you?
Absolutely, 100%.
So now you've become part of our local community here in Scottsdale, Team Elevate Scottsdale. What do you think about the family that we have there?
It is truly that. It was something that there's a lot of different groups around, and what I found is the Scottsdale Elevate team really does treat you like a family member. And coming from Michigan just at the beginning of last year in 2017, I don't truly have a lot of family out here, nor friends. We came out here, and I was actually pursuing my doctorate. It was one of the other reasons we came out here. But it was not because of the support system we had from a family or friend perspective.
Right, yeah.
But I've really found that up with the team up in Scottsdale with Team Elevate, and it's just been fantastic.
Now, how many degrees do you have now?
I have 2 degrees currently, and I'm working on my third.
And what are they?
Bachelor's and a master's degree in mechanical engineering.
A BA and MA in mechanical engineering, and you were working on your doctorate?
Yes, sir.
Man, I mean, you were creating a background of value for the average corporation that was looking for someone like you. Why did you walk away from that?
Because I wanted more.
Okay, that's my point.
We wanted more. Yeah, when we come back, Dad, let's unpack that, because I got a couple questions for you, Andy.
Well, and so many people think, well, I want more. Does that mean I have to quit my job? Let me tell you this. If you keep working for the other man long enough, you're going to end up very disappointed financially, because you're never going to work your way to wealth on a job, a job, just over broke. Am I right or right, Andy?
You're 100% correct.
Hey, you listen to the Dr. G and Kevin Lawrence Show, and Andy Wilkinson is our special guest today. Fine young man. He and his wife, Jody, are on a journey to create their own financial platform that they control. Ladies and gentlemen, you can do it too. Kevin and I are hosting another investor business forum this week right here in the Valley. We'd love to invite you to be our personal guest. There's no cost. It's an exciting event. It's not a boring business meeting. And you're going to meet other team members, just like our guest, Andy. You're going to learn about real estate investing as it is in Arizona today, not where it was 7 or 8 years ago. You're going to learn about the Renatus Real Estate Investing Education System. It is the premier system in America today. We're the only educational system in America that gives our students lifetime access to their classes. Everything's delivered online. Anywhere you have access to the internet, you have access to our system. Ladies and gentlemen, we'd love for you to be our guest. To make that happen, you're going to have to call me. And I'm going to give you my phone number in just a minute. But I want you to know, when you call, you will get my voicemail. So for your sake, leave a message. Kevin and I, will personally get back to you. Are you ready to write down my number? Here it is. It's 602-730-5645. That's 602-730-5645. So, Andy, let's unpack something a little bit. We still have time on the show here. Your reservations, your hesitations. Now, you said initially the cost of, walking away from your job and you're starting into your doctoral program. You have a beautiful wife. She's pregnant. So you have a son on the way, right? Mm-hmm. Those were the hesitations and reservations. But you did a cost analysis benefit. Or cost-benefit analysis. There we go. Cost-benefit analysis. Because being the engineer that you are, you're going to analyze that. Okay.
Absolutely.
So tell me, what was the analyzation of your long-term career that appeared solid? Of course, we know, who knows if that's solid or not, right? Because job security is a misnomer. But anyways, at the time you looked at that, and then you looked at, hey, I'm going to be a real estate investor and jump into that. I mean, how did you unpack that a little bit more for our audience? How do you come to that?
Sure. Well, just to be clear, I started investing in real estate back in 2010, so it wasn't. It's not like I hadn't done anything before.
Okay.
So I did have a little bit of that foundation, but when I say foundation, it was very minimal. I went out and got a real estate license, thinking that was how you learned how to invest, and I quickly learned that was incorrect. So I basically just used that for access to MLS and to analyze.
Well,
property.
Let's stop right there. I want to unpack that. You said you went to get your real estate agent's license because you thought you were going to learn how to invest?
Correct. That was my initial.
Why wasn't that true?
With the real estate license, you don't learn a whole heck of a lot about analyzing properties for investment purposes whatsoever. It's more, how to work with a buyer or a seller and how to list those properties. So from my perspective, it was very limited. For what I was looking for.
Well, and how to obey the state laws.
Correct. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So you did pick up a couple properties prior to connecting with Renatus. So you had a little bit of experience, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And what was it about real estate as a whole that you calculated would be the best long-term? I mean, everyone's got a different reason why. What was it for you?
Within real estate, there's so many different strategies that I've learned to approach different properties for different deals. But the long-term vision I had was to create that passive income and cash flow into my life to where I don't have to wake up every day at 4 o'clock whenever the alarm goes off or whenever that might be for most people and sit through traffic. But to be able to create that sustainable long-term passive income was my main motivation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So with that little bit of experience, how did you find out about Renatus? Was it like a show like this? Was it an ad somewhere? Was it a friend that said, hey, come check this out? How did you find out about it?
It was actually an ad on ZipRecruiter, and I was looking for real estate and leadership. Those are my keywords.
Okay.
And thankfully, this ad popped up, and I responded to that back just over a year ago today.
Okay, awesome. And who was that, by the way? Because we're a national company. We have real estate investor communities in over 36 cities across the country, obviously including here in the Valley. So who did you connect with?
The amazing thing about it was Mark Sizemore out of Seattle, Washington.
Out of Seattle, wow. And here you are in Michigan, right?
Yeah, so I was in Michigan, and I was talking to Mark out of Seattle, getting prepared to move to Phoenix.
I love it, man. This is what's great about today's economy is that if you want to start your own business, you want to get out and make it happen, you can. There's very little barriers to do it outside of just being scared about it, I guess, But yeah, you absolutely made it happen. So your wife said, hey, whatever makes you happy, go do this. What did you see with the Renatus system or the education or everything that's set up that you thought, yep, this is going to work?
Absolutely. The fact that it is a nationwide organization, a nationwide group of real estate investors across the country, like-minded individuals, entrepreneurs, business owners that are doing very similar things to what I aspire to do or am doing. That was one huge factor. The ability to be taught on a platform, because I was trying to figure this out on my own for a couple of years.
Sure, yeah.
And then you more or less stumble across a platform to teach you exactly what I wanted to do, create a nationwide business, be able to invest in real estate and get the passive income. It was all there in one package, so there was the ability to create multiple streams of income and basically have the plan more or less laid out for you. You just have to follow what's out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I don't know about you, Andy. I've been to boot camps, and I'll say it on the radio so everyone knows. I've got to find out about real estate. I've been to the boot camps in the past. As a matter of fact, I had the opportunity to invest in real estate coming up. Gosh, it's been about 8 years ago, Dad, just when you and Mom started with Renatus, and I went through bankruptcy and foreclosure because the real estate investing I did, I was uneducated around it. But I wanted it so bad, I was willing to take those risks. Now, I'm not going to tell you how much money I spent on the boot camps. I'm a little embarrassed about it, and nothing happened. I didn't get the result. Andy, had you ever done anything like that? Had you been to weekend boot camps or went to the thing in Las Vegas or, whatever?
I didn't actually go to any events, but I did read several books. So I was,
okay.
Which are good. Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Poor Dad was the starting point, and, multiple since then. But I didn't pay the big bucks outside.
You held back. You read
Tomorrow
the books.
We're going to talk about some of the practitioner instructors that we have. But one of the great features of the Renatus Real Estate Investing Education System is we have lifetime access to the classes. And that's a major difference in our format compared to what's out in the market, these boot camps that Kevin's referring to. Where did you, now you said you had a BA degree, right?
BS.
BS. Okay. That's not BS, is it? Okay, so you got a BS degree. I have a BA degree. And then you have your next degree?
MS.
MS in mechanical engineering.
Correct.
Okay. Now, you've completed those. You've got the degrees, the papers hanging on your wall, right?
Indeed.
Okay. If you called those two schools of higher learning where you achieved those degrees and said, hey, I want to take more studies with you, would that be for free?
Not even close.
And so share with our audience the point that I'm making there, would you?
Oh, absolutely. The education you get in typical university system, it's one way, one time. You get to view it one time, and that's it. And with Renatus, it's a lifetime. You can get to go. I've already watched some of the classes multiple times. In the year I've been here, I'm going to say close to 5 new classes have been added, and maybe equal 5 or more have been updated. And sometimes you don't even know, they just pop up.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Hey, I got a new class in my back office.
Yeah,
I got
auctions analysis
access
just last week.
Right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
It's fantastic.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing too, Dad, I'm glad you're making that point. When people, they go, hey, I've been to university, I've been through college before, there kind of seems to be a mindset that holds them back from thinking they can learn more. And that's one thing I appreciate about Andy is he's willing to learn more.
He really is. And Kevin, that was the one thing that was holding me back when I was young at 64, and I was looking at Renatus, and I looked up at my degrees hanging on the wall, Andy. I've got a graduate in theology. I've got a BA degree. I've got a MA in pastoral counseling. I have a doctorate of ministry. And I'm looking at those degrees, and I thought, wow, I sure have been successful. And it hit me. I'm looking at my past successes, and I'm letting my past successes keep me from creating a new future financially. Does that make sense?
It does.
And you know what I did? I literally got up when I had that realization, that aha moment, and I took my degrees off the wall and I put them in the cabinet under my desk. And I said, okay, that's the past. I'm 64 years young, and I've got to create a new financial future. And that's when I got involved with Renatus. And it has changed our life. Ladies and gentlemen, you listen to the Dr. G and Kevin Lawrence Show, and Andy Wilkinson's our special guest, one of our newest team members at Scottsdale Elevate, 35-year-old entrepreneur. And I think you've got a great background in leadership, don't you?
I've learned a few things along the way.
Yeah, but you were studying a particular course. Well, anyway, let me get to our audience. Ladies and gentlemen, Kevin and I are hosting another Investor Business Forum this week right here in the Valley. We'd love to meet you. We want to invite you to be our personal guest. There's no cost. It's an hour-and-a-half event. You're going to meet other wonderful people, just like Andy Wilkinson. You're going to meet our team members. You're going to find out about Renatus. You're going to be given the possibilities and probabilities that you can embrace to create a new financial future now for yourself. If you'd like to be our guest, please call me. Here's our phone number, 602-730-5645. That's 602-730-5645.
So, Andy, we got just a few more minutes before we close out here. We're going to come back tomorrow, and we're going to talk about we're going to unpack some of the deals you've already done since you've become involved in Renatus. Okay,
Great.
But just take a minute and share from your heart to the listeners why it's important for them to really think about controlling their financial future.
Absolutely, and I think it all starts with optimizing your current situation today. Because I was come from a point where I was making a lot of money, but I was also spending a lot of money. Mm-hmm. So I didn't even know how to structure my own personal finances the way I do now. So it starts there, and then that moves into creating a small business to get the best, optimize your tax situation,
Mm-hmm.
and then it moves into creating the long-term wealth. So I believe that there's through real estate ownership, and some long-term investment options that we have within real estate. So I believe that there's a path to it. I think it's a 3-step path is the way I see it.
Yeah, absolutely. There is a path to it, and it can happen. It's easy to get lulled into the security of a job and thinking it's just going to all work out, but that really is a risky proposition, Dad. And I know that you talked about that at the beginning of the show. The highest risk is doing nothing to control your future.
Oh, yeah, big time, big time. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Andy Wilkinson's been our guest today. We would love to meet you once more. Let me give you our phone number, direct personal phone number to Kevin and I. It's 602-730-5645. And I've said it many times, if you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there. What road are you on today for your financial future? Change when left to chance gives birth to conflict. And if you don't change, things will never change. And I'll guarantee you this, the only thing that won't change is the fact that things will change. So what's the bottom line? Either you make the change or the change is going to make you. Success is not a destination, it's a journey. You can succeed. All that's given to anyone is given to you. Now listen carefully. Success is never final, but failure's never fatal. and investment in knowledge will pay you the best return on investment. You are full of the power of success. Now, why do I say this? It's real simple. Greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world. I'm Dr. G, and I want you to create success. Why not start today? Hey, right now would be a good time. We have in the studio live a very special guest. I love this guy. Young entrepreneur Andy Wilkinson, 35-year-old fellow from, now get this, gang, Lower Buckeye. I didn't know there was a lower. Is there an upper Buckeye, Andy?
There's just a regular Buckeye.
Regular Buckeye. Okay, so what's Lower Buckeye stand for?
Just south of Buckeye.
Oh, so okay. All right. Well, I'm glad you explained that to me. I was always curious about that. Well, anyway, hey, I'll tell you what. He was really from Chicago, spent his first 18 years of his life there, and he got his MS degree in mechanical engineering and spent 16 years in the automotive industry. Very successful. He was busy climbing the corporate ladder. He was responsible for being the lead advanced research and development fellow for North America. Hey, that's a prestigious position, Andy.
It sounds okay on paper.
It's an impressive title, dude.
Yeah, it's impressive. But I'll tell you what, he's an awesome guy. He's got a BS degree, he's got an MS degree, and he was pursuing his doctorate degree. And one day he said, you know what? I don't like where I'm going with this. I want to have some freedom. And here he is, 35 years old. And I got to tell our audience, I'm jealous of Andy because he's 30 years younger than I was when I got started in the wonderful, wacky world of real estate investing. I was 64, Andy. You're only 35. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Is your wife, Jody, excited about it?
There are certain days she is.
Well, I tell you what, it's a challenge to be your own. I'm not going to say boss. I don't like that phrase. It's a challenge for you to chart your own journey in the ocean of life, isn't it?
Absolutely, it really is.
Does that sound a little more poetic?
It's not
does.
too bad. I might take note of that.
Just a touch of melancholy in there. That was good. Chart your own
Now,
course in
the
the
thing
ocean
I
of
want to
life.
bring out here, and we're going to talk about Renatus. What is Renatus? Hey, it's a Latin term for rebirth, and Renatus is the premier real estate investing education system in America. Now, I want our audience to listen to this. Andy went through college. His undergrad cost over $100,000.
Painfully correct.
You're not exaggerating.
It was greater than $100,000.
Wow. So a master's degree was $45,000, a doctorate degree was $55,000. And he says, if I finish my plan at university, I will have spent $200,000 in tuition, not including interest from student loans. Student loans can last 30 to 40 years. Are you kidding me?
Or more.
Or more with deferrals, compounding interest, and the entire time. Well, you know what? Bill Predebon, one of our executive team leaders here, he met a woman who was 63, or was that Dave?
Dave's a lady. She's 73, and she still has student loans.
She's 73 years old and still has a student loan. Man, that's like having a pet dog. And you just feed it every month.
Dragging it with you, yeah.
Just dragging it with you.
But the dog dies and the student loan doesn't.
And it's still hungry.
It's still hungry. There you go, Andy.
It's still hungry. So here you are at the age of 34. You got enrolled in Renatus, the premier real estate investing education system in America. Why would you jump from your doctorate to real estate investing education?
That is a great question, and a lot of people don't understand that, to be honest with you. So what Renatus did to me, one of the main purposes of pursuing my doctorate, it's a degree in organizational leadership and development, was to be able to create a nationwide business for myself and my family. And the Renatus system is teaching me just that, with a lot more financial principles and things I did not even know were available to be learned.
So you're willing, Andy, you see this as, we talked yesterday about the cost-benefit analysis. And whether you're an engineer like yourself or not, whether you have, however many degrees, Dr. G, between Dr. G and Andy here, we're about degreed out, man. I mean, we got hit the max.
You and I ought to have a garage sale on degrees.
That's not a bad idea.
But here's and by the way, for the sake of our audience and both, you guys know having degrees has not been a waste of time. It's valuable. You're educated, you understand, you learn how to learn. It helped teach you a lot of things. So I'm never down on degrees, but the point is this: whether you have degrees, whether you're an engineer or not, whatever the discipline is, we all do a cost-benefit analysis every day on spending our time and money. So, Andy, you did this cost-benefit analysis, and you looked at the education that Renatus provides, and you said this has a higher benefit than actually at some level university classes. Because once you pay your tuition at university, then class is over, you paid, and it's done, right?
Correct.
Well, what does Renatus provide through their education system?
The first thing that pops to mind, of course, is the lifetime access to all the updates and new classes that are made available without another cent being asked, which is incredible.
What does lifetime access to updates mean in new classes?
So let's say 10 years down the road or however far down the road, a tax law, this has just happened actually now that I think about it. Just recently, with all the new tax laws that are being changed, we're going to have the new classes updated. I don't know the date, but I'm sure very soon, and those will just appear with the updates, and we'll have access to them without any extra cost or anything.
Well, as a matter of fact, I'm glad you brought that up because we have Mr. Mark Kohler, who is our instructor for Tax and Legal Day 1, Tax and Legal Day 2. Mark Kohler is an attorney, and he wrote a book, Lawyers Are Liars. He's also a CPA. He wrote another book entitled What Your CPA Won't Tell You and Why. And he's going to be here for a special event, the fourth Saturday of this month. And I tell you what, he's an exciting instructor, isn't he?
Absolutely. He's someone I look up to very much so.
Yeah.
Yep.
Tax and legal next to insurance is probably the most boring subject on the planet. But Mark Kohler definitely has a way of making it exciting and keeps us engaged. So, Andy, as you enrolled in your education with Renatus and you're on your path to create your own business platform, to create your passive income, to control your financial future, just share with our audience, what are some of the key classes that initially stood out to you that really grabbed your attention?
For me, it was some of the foundational classes, which I really sunk my teeth into, per se, with the tax and legal, as we've already mentioned, to know how to create the correct entities for asset protection for rental properties, for instance, and also for your best tax advantages from an S-corp perspective for short-term income. So that was foundationally very helpful for me. In addition to the velocity banking and some of the financial literacy classes, which we can get into a whole nother conversation on.
Now, wait a minute. I want you to say it again. Financial literacy classes. Tell our audience what that means.
Absolutely. And this was something that I truly did not even know existed. I came from a job making a lot of money, but also spending a lot of money. And I'll just say the word relatively ignorantly, to be honest with you. But we have classes such as a velocity banking class, which teaches you how to structure your finances within the current systems and products that banks offer, how to structure your finances in a way to save you a ton of money in interest, which has just been incredible for me.
And you said here in your notes, as we were talking off air, you just said that, with university, there's a one-time use, and after the education is complete, you don't have access to new information or updates.
Gentlemen,
right?
Can we come back and discuss that? I want to talk to our audience for a minute, okay?
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to the Dr. G and Kevin Show, and Andy Wilkinson, our special guest, all the way from Lower Buckeye, is live in the studio with us today. And, hey, we are hosting a business forum this week, and it's an exciting event. We do it every week here in the Valley. We're in North Scottsdale, and Kevin and I want to invite you to be our personal guest. We would love to meet you. Kevin, I think one of the highlights of us being live on the show here, Monday through Friday, is getting to meet the audience, people that listen to us.
Yeah, and they can meet people like Andy, our other investor partners,
Right.
And that's what it's about.
Who drives all the way from Lower Buckeye to North Scottsdale.
He's really impressed with where you live, Andy. Dr. G loves Lower Buckeye.
It's because I was late.
Well, I don't know why you're not from Upper Buckeye. Okay. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we would love to meet you. And you're going to learn about real estate investing as it is today. You're going to learn about the Renatus education system. You're going to meet a community of investors that are just like you, down-to-earth people, serving others, helping others change their lives financially. If you'd like to be our guest, I'm going to give you our phone number. You will have to call. And by the way, when you call, you will get my voicemail. So leave a message, and I promise you, I'll get back personally to you. Are you ready to write down my phone number? Here it is. It's 602-730-5645. That's 602-730-5645. Kevin, let's go back to the conversation you were having with Andy.
Yeah, we're just going through some things that you shared with us off the air about the one-time use of university. So we've talked about how Renatus is lifetime access, but we're talking about the personal finance classes that Renatus offers in the Velocity Banking. It's interesting that you put down here, Andy, that you, with university, you don't learn how to structure your personal finances.
Correct.
Or how to create an acceptable plan for retirement to generate wealth for family. That's a powerful statement there. University doesn't teach you to do that?
I certainly did not learn that by any means.
Yeah, they have economic classes like econ and, some sort of maybe real estate investing. No, they don't do real estate investing at university.
I have not found that either. There are real estate degrees, but I've heard
when you come out of university, you said here you receive a degree, but you still have to find a job. So there's no guarantee of employment when you're done with your degree program.
Correct.
Yeah. See, this is the power of Renatus, right? I mean, you listen to the education, you can apply it as soon as you hear it.
Absolutely. That's one of the things that one of my mentors said, watch a class, take action.
Yes.
So you can get stuck in especially like-minded engineers. My engineering buddies get stuck in the analysis by paralysis, or paralysis by analysis, I should say. But yeah, watch a class, take an action. They provide actionable content.
Actionable content. I like the way you said that. I know for me in the tax and legal classes, for me, one of the major concepts that I learned. Now, understand, I've been self-employed, a 1099 contractor, run my own business, however you want to frame that, for coming up on almost 20 years now. So the last time I received a paycheck from an employer was in 2003. So
like that, yeah.
Yeah, it's been a long time. And through all that time, there's a strategy I didn't know existed, and it's learning how to create a family management fund where I can literally pay my children and deduct that cost legally with the current IRS tax codes.
Now, wait a minute. That almost sounds illegal.
Right. Now, we're not talking FICA, FUTA, all that kind of stuff with employees. I'm not writing paychecks, but there's a tax strategy that I could, I'm already paying for my kids, man. Wait for it, Andy. You've got a son. Wait, the kids don't get cheaper. Okay.
I've heard this.
And I'm sitting here listening to Kevin talk about this, and I think, golly, I wish I would have known about that when he was a child.
Yeah. And it was because of one class that I took, one strategy, I implemented it, and Lori and I have reduced our taxable income already legally the right way. We did it already by spending the money anyway in our children. I'm already paying for my kid to enroll in football. My daughter sings for the Phoenix Girls course. I'm spending the money already. How do I get that tax deduction so I'm paying less money when I file taxes? And Andy, that's what you're talking about, actionable content, right?
Yep, 100%. And the way that Mark Kohler lays it out in our classes, it's I'm not going to say it's easy by any means. But it's clear. They make it a clear format.
Yeah.
And it all builds upon each other. So it's like a math class, you start from the foundation and you start building pieces. What Kevin was just talking about, in my opinion, is a relatively advanced topic.
It is. I kind of threw it out there, but it's a good example. It's a couple hours on that one strategy.
I'm sitting here listening to you guys discuss this class on Velocity Banking. I mean, it's life-changing. And I tell folks all the time, one of the unique things about the Renatus education system is we have practitioner real estate investors as our instructors. What does that mean? That means they're out in the field living lives of success as real estate investors. They're not college professors standing up in front of a classroom speaking from a position of theory. They're out there making it happen. They're just simply teaching our students what they're doing. I mean, I'm thinking of Chris Albin. One of the first classes I took was creative acquisitions. Mm-hmm. This was back when I was 64 years old, gone through bankruptcy and foreclosure, and I had a lot of doubts about, can I do this? Will this work for me? Is this a positive alternative for me at this time? Do I need to get re-educated? And so the first class I took was creative acquisitions, where I learned how to take ownership and control of real estate without any of my own money, none of my own credit. I learned how to create relationships with private lenders, hard money lenders. And I'll tell you what, Andy and Kevin, that class was a blessing to me, because I walked out of there, man, I was dancing on clouds. I thought, hey, I can do this. I may be broke. I may have lost my house. I may not have a pot to carry tea in, but I'm going to be able to become a successful real estate investor. And I just think that's so cool. What do you think about what I'm saying, Andy?
Oh, I think it's amazing. And I had very similar thoughts, because when I first started before Renatus, I was using my own funds. I was using my own time. I did have my uncle and some other folks that were contractors back in Michigan who helped with me. But when you learn in Renatus, you don't, A, need your own money. What?
Right, yeah.
B, need to have your own credit.
What?
Really?
Yeah, really.
And then the options or the opportunities are limitless. And when you learn how to raise funds, and when you learn how to find deals, when you learn how to analyze deals, there's no one telling you to stop.
Mm-hmm.
That's the key. There's no one telling you to stop but you. But Andy, I'm going to push back a little bit here. Devil's advocate. What do you mean you don't have to use your own money to invest in real estate? I mean, that sounds a little. I mean, you got to have money, right?
Oh, absolutely, you need money.
Yeah, there's that old saying. It takes money to make money. That's true, but it doesn't have to be your money.
Agreed, 100%. And that's the point. It doesn't have to be yours. It doesn't have to come out of your own pocket, or it doesn't have to. Your name doesn't necessarily.
Isn't that illegal though? I mean, it sounds a little sketchy.
You know what's funny is when I first heard that, I was thinking, shenanigans.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
But when you learn when you learn the system, it's real, it's legal, it's ethical, it's moral. It's a business system.
Well, right, and that system, I mean, Renata shows you how to build that legal structure around it so people are protected, and you're doing it the right way as well. Absolutely. I know for me, the private money class was huge, or how to raise private funds. That was one of the main classes that helped me be successful in Flip Dad that you and I did, and it's simple. It's 2 questions. I literally was handed a script. Ask this questions, set this up. Right. And there's a ton of people out there, probably even listening today, that think, man, I'd like to get involved in real estate investing. It's a little risky. I don't know. But hey, Kevin and Dr. G and Andy, they're educated. They understand how to do that. What if you could use my resources? Go put it to work. And we learn how to leverage other people, protect their investment, and help them realize returns on that. And those classes were key for me anyway.
Yeah, big time. It's amazing the journey you go on when you begin to come to understand what you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? If you keep functioning in the realm of that which you don't know, you're headed for trouble financially.
Yes.
And when I got started with Renatus, I was 64 years old, flat broke, and your mom and I were drawing $867 a month in Social Insecurity. So there's something I did know. That was not going to work out for me.
Mm-hmm.
Social Insecurity is just enough money to keep you flat broke. And I don't do broke, folks. I'll tell you why. And broke is a circumstance. Being poverty-minded is an attitude. It's a mindset. And I've never been poverty-minded. My wife and I always had a life of abundance, and thank God with Renatus, we're blessed. We're enjoying that life of abundance again.
Absolutely. You're listening to the Dr. G and Kevin Lawrence show. Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
You're listening to Dr. G and Kevin Lawrence Show. And ladies and gentlemen, we're going to invite you to our business forum this week. You've been listening to Andy share his story. Bright young man and I say young because you are young, Andy. Bright young man who's an entrepreneur, real estate investor, taking a different path in life. You've heard Dr. G and I's story. So now's the time for you to come down and meet us. See what all this conversation is about. See the realities and the possibilities of what you can create. So I'm going to give you the phone number to call in just a minute. And you're going to leave your voicemail and name and a phone number, and Dr. G or I will call you back personally. The number you're going to call is 602-730-5645. That's 602-730-5645. Please speak slow and clearly, not like I just did, but speak slow and clearly so we can get back to you. Remember, there's no cost to this. You're not bringing any form of payment. Leave your checkbook, your credit card at home. You're coming to meet us to find out what the possibilities are. And, Dad, we enjoy meeting our listeners.
I love it, Kevin. I love it. We have live in the studio with us Mr. Andy Wilkinson, 35-year-old entrepreneur. And we spent the last 2 days interviewing him. And he comes to us. He's live in the studio, comes to us all the way from Lower Buckeye. I love that.
He loves that.
Yeah, not Upper Buckeye, Lower Buckeye.
What city is that in? Is that Phoenix or Levine or?
That is the southwest corner of Phoenix.
Southwest corner of Phoenix, yeah.
Okay. Anything west of Phoenix, I call that Eastern California. Okay. So, Andy, it's a joy to have you back in the studio. And ladies and gentlemen, Andy spent 16 years in the automotive industry. He had a bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering, and he had a MS degree also. Did I say that right?
Master of Science, correct?
Yeah, and then the BS degree.
It was some BS. I'm just kidding.
Okay.
I'm just kidding.
And you were pursuing a doctorate degree.
Yes.
And you said, you know what, the doctoral program proved to be quite time-consuming, so I put the program on hold to solely focus on my Renatus real estate investing business. So you shelved the journey to the doctorate degree, and you trade that for a degree in success in real estate investing. Am I saying that right?
That works 100%, yes.
But you're not going to have a certificate from Renatus to put in a beautiful frame to hang on your office.
I will. There will be deeds.
Okay, say that loud. I want our audience to hear what I'm talking about. Go ahead. You followed up on that well.
I will have a list of warranty deeds and frames on my wall from all the real estate that I've acquired.
So that's going to be your certificate.
Correct.
A collection of warranty deeds on titles that you own those properties.
I think that will be a lovely framework for a nice poster wall.
You know, Andy, I can only imagine where you're going to be by the time you're 40 and you're an old man.
Thank you, I think.
Yeah.
Thank you, I think.
So, Kevin, you had something you wanted to ask Andy.
Okay.
About community?
Well, don't you love his segues? Boy, that was smooth, wasn't it?
Why?
No, we're talking. We have talked a lot this week, and Andy, it's been great to have you in the studio. We've had a lot of fun. We've laughed a lot,
absolutely,
on mic and off mic. But we've covered, your background, why you moved into real estate investing in business, taking control of your future, and your beautiful wife is just supporting you. You have a young son, so you're excited to pass this education, this understanding of financial principles on to the next generation. Isn't that exciting when you think about that?
It really is. It kind of makes, yep.
and now, I'm going to sidebar now because I'm going to interrupt myself, but that's okay because we're going to get to the community later. But think about this, Andy. Now, my dad, he's in studio right here. You see him, right? So I'm going to say this in front of him. My dad loved me. He provided for me. He provided food and clothing and shelter, as every dad should. Took good care of his family. He taught me a lot of principles about mental and emotional freedom, spiritual freedom. I learned a lot from my dad. What my dad never taught me, and this is not against him, he just didn't know. My dad never taught me principles of financial, abundance, principles of financial strategies that create wealth. My dad didn't say, hey, son, you're the next generation. I'm passing this wealth portfolio down to you and teaching you how to build it and create it larger so you can pass it down. He just didn't do that, right? What about you? Did your parents teach you these things?
My parents, well, first of all, I came from a fantastic foundation. My mother and father are the best in the world. Nobody could ask for a better set of parents than what I've been blessed to receive. But as from a financial perspective, no, they kind of basically taught me what they'd been taught. You go out and you work hard and save your money, and I don't want to say pray for the retirement, but I never even knew what a retirement plan really was. And then people just kind of go out there and what it seems like, and what I was doing, this is just my experience, not saying right or wrong, but it seems like just kind of blindly saving and hoping that one day you just kind of have enough to retire.
And there's two thoughts I have about that. And number one is you'll never be able to work your way to wealth. You have to learn to invest your way to wealth. The second thought I have is you'll never be able to save your way to wealth. You have to learn how to create profit and invest your way to wealth. Am I saying that right?
I think you're saying that brilliantly. That's very clear.
So and here's the thing that Kevin's trying to bring in defense of your parents and myself. Yeah, you had wonderful parents. They loved you. They nurtured you in many ways. I loved Kevin. I loved my son Dwayne. We've nurtured them and guided them in many ways. We had great relationships as they were growing up. But I was never taught financial velocity banking. My wife and I were missionaries to Canada for 12 years and very successful in starting churches and Christian schools. Then we started our counseling practice. I was so focused for 25 years on helping people learn how to gain their mental, emotional, and spiritual freedom. I did not focus on creating a financial platform that Sylvia and I created. So when the Great Recession hit, we got sucked up in that vortex. We lost our house. We went through bankruptcy. We lost everything. That's when I was introduced to Renatus, the premier real estate investing education system in America. Have you heard me say that before?
I love it.
I tell
Absolutely.
You. Well, Renatus is a Latin term for rebirth, and we were mentally, emotionally, and spiritually free, but we were not free financially. We needed to experience a rebirth in our financial situation. And I did not know that part of the education with Renatus would include financial literacy, which is what I needed most of all.
Right, and we learned these things that we weren't taught. I mean, right. Andy, did your parents invest in real estate?
No, besides the house we lived in, no.
Yeah, and they bought a house, they got a mortgage, and paid their mortgage, right?
Basically right.
Now, our friend, all three of us have a friend, Bill Predabon, and he says that no one pays off their 30-year mortgage except my dad. He always said, my dad actually paid his 30-year mortgage off. What about your folks? Have they got it paid off, Andy? Are they getting close? Or
Negative.
Okay. Well, and, I remember when Dad bought one of our houses in Albuquerque where we grew up, he actually, looking back now, I see what he did. He may not have realized it, but he used creative acquisition strategies to secure that house.
Let's come back and talk about that. That's a good point. You listen to the Dr. G and Kevin Lawrence Show, and our guest today is Andy Wilkinson, 35-year-old entrepreneur from Laura Buckeye, Arizona. I love that. So anyway, hey, Kevin and I would love to meet you folks. If you would like to open up the door to the possibilities and probabilities of how you can change your financial future and create genuine, honest financial freedom, then we would love for you to be our guest at our business forum this week. You're our guest. There's no cost. You cannot bring your checkbooks or your credit card. You're not going to buy anything. To be honest with you, you're not ready to be part of our team yet. We've got to get acquainted. We need to do some due diligence. But give Kevin and I an opportunity to spend time with you. And let me say this. Those of you who do call and you come as our guest, I'm making a commitment. I'll be glad to spend a 1-hour interview with you so that I can help you sort through where you are and where it is you want to go. That's a commitment. I'll spend an hour with you personally. Once you come to the event, then we'll set that time together, okay? Hey, you're going to have to call me, and I'm going to give you my phone number. But I want you to know when you call, you're going to get my voice message. So for your sake, leave a message. Here's my number at 602-730-5645. That's 602-730-5645. So, Kevin, you were talking about that deal. Was that out in Fort Hills?
Yeah. I remember we moved into that house. We were renting, I think, that first house we moved there. And then next thing you know, we're moving into Fort Hills. Now, Andy, this is the truth. That Fort Hills in Albuquerque, New Mexico, if anyone is from there, I remember in the early 80s, that was considered the rich part of town.
Well, yeah, it's like the Paradise Valley here.
And I'm like, ooh, we're moving into the rich part of town.
Fort Hills.
And we were not rich. So,
well,
how did you swing that?
Well, as I recall, they wanted $25,000 down, and I didn't have a pot to carry tea in because we had just come back from Canada, and we'd been back in the States about 18 months. But what I did is I made an offer in 12 months, I'll give you $25,000 cash.
Mm-hmm.
And so they accepted the offer, and we moved in. We paid $425 a month rent. Now, this was an executive home in Fort Hills, which was the highest dollar area in the whole city of Albuquerque. A beautiful home. And so I have 12 months now, come up to $25,000. I won't go into all the details how it happened, but in the last month, I was still $15,000 short. I'd only had $10,000 saved. And a couple I was counseling with, I was sharing the story as teaching the principle of flexibility.
Mm-hmm.
Be willing to change with your circumstances because circumstances will not always work in your favor. And so they said, well, Dr. G, we'd like to ask you a question. There's a friend that we're thinking about investing some money with, and what kind of recommendation would you make? Well, the first thing out of my mouth was, check their credit record, and be sure you draw up a legal contract. You've got to be sure that you're protected. And so as they left my office, I jokingly said, hey, if you've got some extra money, I could use some. And she smiled. She said, well, you're the friend we're thinking of. We want to loan you that $15,000.
Wow.
Now, was that the Lord?
So you and I know that I remember that story. It's impactful, but it sounds like from a real estate investing standpoint. So you created a lease option.
A lease option.
With the owner of the property.
No money down.
No money down. And then you used private money to finance what you needed until you could refi with traditional lending to get possession of the house.
And that's exactly what happened.
You know, and then when we moved to Phoenix, when he and my mom moved to Phoenix, they rented out the property, but he didn't have the stomach for being a landlord, and it was a stress on him because you didn't know the strategies that we now know through real estate investing. So here's where I'm going with all this, friends. Andy, you said your parents didn't teach you how to invest in real estate; they just owned their house.
Correct.
My dad didn't teach me either, and he did a couple of creative things along the way. So when you step into, no, I'm going to do this full time, if it wasn't for the community that Renatus provides, it could be challenging, Andy, if you don't have support from friends and family, because they may look at you and go, dude, you're crazy, man.
Yeah. What are you smoking?
Have you gotten a little pushback from friends and family?
Absolutely. Most of them just don't understand, to be honest. I haven't really gone back and tried to drag anyone along or talk them out of what they're doing yet. But yeah, there's just a lack of understanding, and I didn't understand it either. 2 years ago, if you talked to me, I'm a totally different person than I was. So it's a huge mindset shift.
How important has it been for you to have the support of the community?
Oh, hands down. The education's fantastic, but when we talk about applying it, and of course, just like in university, when you take a class, typically you come up with a few questions, right?
Yeah.
So when you go and you can go, we have 4 different groups around the valley, but up in Scottsdale Elevate, you can go there. We're typically there at least 2 to 3 nights a week, and there's 30 to 50 people plus to ask questions to, and they're all like-minded, and they're all looking at the same type of future you're looking at. So it's just been incredible the way you can. It ties back to making progress as fast as you can. So when you tie that education together with a community of like-minded investors, it really pushes the bar.
Absolutely. I mean, Dad, you and I and Andy too, we've got numbers in our phones of men and women across this country that are successful real estate investors, people with high net worths, millionaires. They'll take your call because you're in the same community. We're rowing the same boat. We're headed the same way. And that really provides a level of confidence as an investor to keep moving forward.
Well, you're absolutely right, Kevin. And, I just stopped and think about all the connections that your mother and I have been able to make nationwide with the Renatus community. I mean, we've got Darren Davis and Kendall Stock in Murrieta, California. We've got Brian and Wendy Bullock in Los Angeles. We have James and Lisa Lease in Sacramento. We have Mark Sizemore in Seattle. My goodness.
Scott and Nancy Rowe in Chicago.
Chicago, absolutely.
Team.
Yeah. And we
Salt Lake City, John O'Neill.
Jeff Massey down Tucson.
Yeah.
Atlanta, Georgia, Hughes Zareski in New York City, and on it goes.
And Washington, D.C. and
Washington, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
And this has all been built in the last 7 years. That's what's so
amazing.
Cool.
Well, and just a small detail, but I think it's important, is Renatus as a company, okay? Because the cool thing about the structure, Bob Snyder, the CEO and founder of Renatus, builds a structure that, gentlemen, the three of us and any man and woman out there can plug into the structure and create their own private business through the structure, which is, we teach you how to do that. And our corporate offices are in Salt Lake City, Utah.
Right. And let me share this. Now, ladies and gentlemen, you're the audience. I'm speaking directly to you. You talk about creating a different platform financially. I've done the numbers. And in 6 years and 9 months, now we came out of bankruptcy and foreclosure. We climbed out of that deep hole. But in 6 years and 9 months, with our real estate deals, plus commissions that Renatus has paid your mother and I, we have generated $1.6 million in gross income. Now, that's gross, okay? We've got radio expenses. We've got our rent for our training facilities.
You have expenses to live and run your business.
Right.
Sure.
But what it breaks down to is we've averaged, and I'm 73 years old, because of the Renatus real estate investing education system, we've averaged right at $175,000 a year. Mm-hmm. That's pretty good income for an old guy.
Not too shabby.
Not too shabby. I like that. Not too shabby.
Okay, now you're 35 years old. Seriously, Andy, take a minute. How does that sound to you? From a young man, a young entrepreneur's perspective.
Dr. G, that sounds like a great starting point.
Oh, I love that. And I tell folks all the time, I feel like the new kid on the block. I'm just getting started.
I love the energy you bring to the table. It's fun to be a part of.
Well, and I got to say this, being with you and being with Kevin, that energizes me. I love it. And we're so grateful that you're part of our team, Andy.
Thank you.
Yeah, you bring so much to the team, and that's what we're all about. You might want to address this real quick. It's all about serving other people. Am I right or right?
You're 100% right.
People think that leadership is about, hey, I'm going to be in charge.
Right.
And I'm going to tell everyone what to do. My son is 12. I have two boys, and my 12-year-old son, I love him to death, and this is a great growth experience because he's one of those natural personality, choleric kid, push it. He's the director. He has the answer.
Yep.
He's 12 and already, Dad, let me tell you, which is great because those are great leadership strengths. But like Dave Ramsey says, I agree, you're not born a leader, but the way he expresses it is this way. You don't walk into the maternity ward at the hospital and say, boy, girl, leader.
Right.
You're not born that way. It's something you learn. And as a leader, you learn true leadership is about being in service to other people. It's about finding the best in them, bringing it out in them so they can accomplish and move forward. That's what true leaders do. It's not about bossing people and telling them it's my way or the highway. That's not what a leader does.
You're listening to Dr. G and Kevin Show, and our special guest is Andy Wilkinson. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to ask you a question. How can Kevin and I serve you? I mean, listen, you've been listening to our guest. You've been listening to us this week, maybe for months. What is it we can do to serve you, to position you to literally take ownership of your financial future? We're here to do that. But to help us do that, we want you to be our guest at the upcoming business forum that we're hosting this week. It's an hour-and-a-half event. You're going to learn about Renatus. You're going to Kevin and I are going to have the privilege of meeting you, and you get to meet us in person. And you're going to meet other team members. You're going to open up the windows to the possibilities of what you can create financially and get out of where you are. Let's focus on the future so you can create those dynamics. If you'd like to be our guest, there's no cost. We've got you covered. And by the way, you cannot bring your checkbook or credit card. You're not going to buy anything. Here's our phone number. It's 602-730-5645. That's 602-730-5645. Andy, when we were off the air, I said, now why in the world would you drive from Lower Buckeye to North Scottsdale when there's a couple other teams in between there? And I want you to share that with our audience because I want them to hear what's in your heart.
Absolutely. What I saw up at the team at Scottsdale Elevate was, I'll say, I don't know if sophisticated is the right word, but some real, true, honest leadership from several people. Mm-hmm. 2 of them are in this room, and there are some others. And just the opportunity and a location to where I felt like I could plant my seed and really grow with some like-minded individuals.
Ooh, I love the way you said that. Plant my seed. We're not talking about having another baby. We're talking about planting the seed for your financial future. Am I right?
You're correct.
And Andy, you're one of the team leaders, dude. Are you aware of that?
I certainly am.
Yeah. And we've only known each other for what, 3 months, 4 months?
We'll call it 3 months full-time.
Yeah, 3 months full-time. But it's amazing how the Lord just brings us together and creates that synergy. It's healthy. It's a lot of fun, isn't it?
At 100%.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, Andy Wilkinson's been our guest, and I tell you, he's making an impact on our life. He's positioning himself to be a servant to other people, and that's what we're all about. Hey, do you really know where you're going with your finances? I'll tell you what, I heard an old saying, I don't know what the future holds, but I know who holds the future. And the truth is, if you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there. And to help you and I unpack it for our audience, we have live in the studio, Andy Wilkinson's been with us this whole week, 35-year-old entrepreneur, real estate investor, married to a fantastic lady, Jody, and they have a 15-month-old son, Zachary. And Andy, it's a joy to have you in the studio with us.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
What do you think of the class on velocity banking? What's that all about in your eyes?
It's a game changer. It is absolutely incredible. It's a concept utilizing existing tools and products that the banks have available for everybody, and using those in a strategy to absolutely minimize the amount of money you pay in interest. 100% legally, morally, and ethically.
Well, why should people be concerned about minimizing the interest they pay? Because, I mean, let's figure, face it, I mean, the average home mortgage is 30 years, okay? Oh, man, I've got it made. I've just got to keep making a payment every month for 30 years.
And that's an incredible thing because I thought as soon as I got out of college, I was told, go get the biggest house you can afford. It's your greatest asset.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Oh, is that far from the truth?
A house is not an asset. It's a liability, isn't it?
The one you live in typically is definitely a liability.
That's what I mean, yeah.
Yeah, it costs you money every month, and sometimes more than every month.
Yeah, exactly.
One thing I learned about the interest, though, is how they calculate amortized debt. And, you talk about your 6% interest rate on a mortgage, and if you look over 30 years on a $200,000 loan, you're going to be paying over $430,000 total in principal and interest.
Now say that again. I want our audience to hear that.
So for a $200,000 mortgage, let's say it's 30-year fixed.
$200,000 home. That's the purchase price.
Correct, $200,000. If you have a 30-year loan, let's just say about 6% interest rate.
Okay.
Over the life of the 30 years, the total principal and interest payments are going to be over $430,000.
That doesn't sound like 6% to me. That sounds like 100+%.
I agree with you 100%.
and that's a real eye-opener, isn't it?
It is. I couldn't believe it. And by the time I learned that, I also learned that I had 3 mortgages.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and now you talked about amortized debt.
Yes.
And so for our audience, here's a quick little nugget of trivia. The word amortized comes from the root word mortir, which is a French word that means death, right? And that's the idea, because you pay your house off till you die. You carry it with you. So, Dad, you're talking about velocity banking. It's a personal banking strategy that shows us how to snowball, if you will, and use velocity to reduce amortized debt, car loans, student loans, mortgages. So when people listen to this show and they go, I don't want to flip houses, or I don't know about real estate, but there's more to what we offer than that.
Well, and I might add, we're not talking about increasing your income either. We're talking about finite handling of your cash flow that you've got. You want to say something on that, Andy?
Absolutely. It's a way to restructure your personal finances. And just like Dr. G mentioned, you're not going out and working a second job. You're not increasing your income at all. It's just a way to utilize lines of credit to structure your personal finances to chunk away and reduce those interest rates.
How's this velocity banking working out for you and Jody?
Oh, it's incredible. We had, I'm almost ashamed to say it, but I'll mention the number.
Hey, there's no shame on the Dr. G and Kevin
All
show,
forgiveness and grace, brother. You're good.
Well, I was thinking I was, living the American dream, making a ton of money, but just acquiring debt and liabilities. I had 4 cars and 4 houses, and I thought I was living the dream.
Oh, wow.
And then when I looked back at it, I had acquired over $650,000 in amortized debt.
Wow.
And I had no idea. I mean, I knew, of course, but I didn't know what that truly meant.
Now, what does amortized mean?
Death, man.
600 and what?
Over $650,000.
That's death.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
Were you sleeping at night? I mean, how was that going?
I wasn't. Not a whole lot. Not a whole lot at all.
Oh, bless your heart.
So now that you've understood this strategy, because you'd mentioned it's about utilizing lines of credit to reduce your debt.
Correct.
And the idea is to eliminate it so you can have a stronger financial base and asset base. So kind of unpack that a little bit more for you personally.
Absolutely. And even before that, the first step I took was to get rid of a couple things that I didn't need, like the 2 brand new cars.
Yeah.
So
you suppose?
Yeah. So there's the line of credit strategy, but even before you get there, let's look at what you have realistically. And I guess I didn't need the Harley Davidson, though I really do miss it.
Yeah.
But silly things like that, that's step 1 in my mind. But then step 2, yes, you could utilize lines of credit, and the simple interest structure versus the amortized interest structure. You can use the line of credit to pay down the amortized loans.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a system in place where you could take that $200,000 mortgage that I mentioned and have that paid off using a line of credit in approximately 7 years, 8 years, depending on how aggressive you want to be.
Now, people are listening to this and they're thinking, wait, hold on. Line of credit, amortized debt, what are you talking about? Now, what we're discussing here, friends, is approximately 11-hour class that unpacks the details of this. So we're not going to cover 11 hours here on this show, but we will say, but let's talk about the results here. Okay. So Andy, have you been able to make a dent in after you sold some things?
Can we come back? I want to hear that
Absolutely.
answer to Kevin's question. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, you listen to the Dr. G and Kevin show, and our special guest is Andy Wilkinson. And we're talking about one of our most exciting classes, velocity banking, where you're going to learn how to pay down debt, create control of your cash flow, create financial security, pay less interest, learn how to invest in real estate. The sad thing is, ladies and gentlemen, as people get older, their tendency is to shrink their dreams to fit within their income. The older you get, the smaller your dream, because the older you get, the smaller your income. That doesn't have to be the case for you. Hey, Kevin and I want to invite you to be our guest at the upcoming business forum this week. And as our guest, there's no cost to you. We've got you covered. You're going to learn about Renatus, the greatest education system in America. I mean, it has profoundly changed mine and my wife Sylvia's life. We would have never thought that after 50 years of marriage that we would be able to experience the financial freedom that we have today and the joy of sharing that possibility with other people. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you'd like to be mine and Kevin's guest, here's the phone number you're going to have to call. And when you call, you will get my voicemail. So for your sake, leave a message. Here's our number. It's 602-730-5645. That's 602-730-5645. Kevin, you were asking.
So just share with us a little bit your personal experience on this, implementing this strategy and all that debt you had. Andy?
Absolutely. So I applied that to have currently 3 mortgages: the primary residence, and then 2 mortgages on a couple rental properties that we have. So I started that paying down one of the rental properties, and by the end of this year, we plan on having that one paid in full.
Wow.
Which is pretty
Yeah.
incredible. And then we're going to move right on to the next rental property, gaining more cash flow from the first property since we're no longer paying on a mortgage. Obviously, that brings more cash flow into our portfolio. So then within probably 3 years, the second rental will be paid off. And
Now, wait a minute. Let's slow down. That almost sounds unbelievable. Okay, so you've got 2 rentals with the Velocity banking system. You're going to have one of those mortgages paid off in the next 12 months?
That's the plan, yes.
And you didn't go out and get another job?
I did not. I actually quit a job.
I mean,
I don't recommend that.
Not only did I not get one, I quit the one I had. No.
how is this happening? I want our audience to understand. What Andy Wilkinson and Kevin and I are talking about is velocity banking. It's real simple. You learn to use the readily available financial and banking tools that they use to manage and increase your cash flow, quickly create financial security, and dramatically reduce and minimize the interest that you pay. I think it's phenomenal. And
And I want to just magnify this here. So you pay in a year, you'll have that first rental paid off, then with more cash flow, and that's the key. That's the name of the game, right, Andy? It's cash flow.
Cash flow, 100%.
Right?
Yep.
So then you're going to apply that to the next mortgage. You're going to get that paid off. Now you're going to have 2 rental properties that are cash flowing at a higher level now that the debt has been eliminated. So you have more cash flow, and you control these assets. Now, everyone listening to this show wants, and I can guarantee it, they want cash flow every month outside of their job or their business, whatever. They want cash flow coming into their mailbox.
big time.
Whether they roll over in bed or roll out of bed. Either way, they want money coming in. And you have been able to achieve that with these strategies.
I have, and one other point I'll make is with my engineering background, the first time I heard this, I threw up the BS flag right away. And I went through and recalculated. I created my own Excel spreadsheets. I redid the amortization tables, and you cannot break this. It's incredible, absolutely incredible.
You had to pull out the Excel spreadsheet. That was in you, right? You went,
start
hold on, I got to see if your numbers are right.
That's the engineer in your soul, right?
That sure is.
You got to run those numbers. Well, that's a funny story because I had a student I enrolled a while back, and he worked as an auditor for a large financial company. Okay, global financial company. And he lives by Excel spreadsheets. There's just some of us said, I don't. Okay, I'm allergic to math. But I know some people just, that's how they roll. And he got enrolled in the education. He started looking at velocity banking. And just like you did, he went, I built these spreadsheets. And of course, why would you want to build a spreadsheet? I don't know, that just doesn't resonate with me, but I get it. And he did the same thing you did. And he goes, man, this velocity banking is a game changer.
Absolutely.
Well, and what you're actually talking about, the simplicity is you're just using other people's money to create control for your cash flow.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
And you know, Kevin, talk about what we did. We discussed this house in Albuquerque your mother and I bought years ago. The house we live in now, because of my education with Renatus, I was able to create a seller-financed 0% interest loan for 18 months on the house. And we got down to the 17th month. We still owed $20,000. There was a sign at the bank that said $25,000 signature loan. No credit needed. I thought, boy, the banks are back at it again. But you know what? We had $20,000 that had to be paid. So we took that out, 6% interest, and it was amortized for 5 years. But because of the velocity banking, guess what? We paid that off in 22 months.
Yeah.
Wow.
As a result of velocity banking, we paid our new home off in 18 months, Andy.
Wow. That's impressive.
Is that awesome?
And one of the things that with this strategy, too, is people kind of gets overlooked is the amount of mortgage interest that will be avoided.
Right.
So you consider that amount of money. You know, people are ready to pay that mortgage, right? So I say it this way: once that mortgage is paid off, if you could set aside the interest you would have paid, imagine how much cash you'd have in your hands over the next 20, 30 years.
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think of that money as income. I mean, that's
It absolutely
Big
is.
time. It is.
opportunity
Yeah,
cost
big
for your
time.
cash. Yeah.
Opportunity cost for your cash. Absolutely.
As we're talking about this, Kevin asked me, why don't more people do this?
Dad, Why don't more people do this?
I'm glad you asked.
Thanks for setting that up for me.
You're welcome. Well, they don't know about it. It's that simple. Lost opportunities cost a lot of money. And if you don't know what you don't know, you're paying a high price
Yeah, absolutely.
for a negative education. It's that simple. More people don't know about that. They don't do this because banks discourage it. Banks don't want you to know what they're doing to you. I mean, ask me if I'll ever borrow money from a bank again, Andy.
Will you ever borrow money from a bank again?
Thanks for asking. No, I don't need a bank because we learn about private lending, private funding. We know about hard money lending. Berto Vargas and I, we just bought another property out in Mesa. None of my own money.
None of your own credit.
None of my own credit.
Well,
isn't that cool?
The golden rule, whoever has the gold makes the rules. Right?
I just wish I would have learned about this when I was your age, Andy. You're only 35, man.
So the banks have the gold, so they make the rules. So we have to understand how those rules are played.
Right. Yeah, big time, big time. Another reason more people don't do this is because the mainstream media doesn't understand it. And I'll tell you right now, in the largest part, financial advisors have never heard of velocity banking. But here's the sad thing. They would never teach it if they did know about it. You know why? They can't make any money off of it.
That's true.
Okay?
Yeah, sad but true.
Financial advisors only sell those products that make them money. Am I right on that, Kevin?
Well, that's what banks do. Banks sell products that make them money. So and it's not that that's bad, but consider in your savings account, the bank is going to give you 0.0000025%, but they're so kind to turn around and give you a credit card or at 18%.
Right.
And just
They're
real
making the
quickly,
money.
why is it that more people don't do this? Because Dave Ramsey doesn't teach it. Now, I love Dave Ramsey. I highly respect him. But the bottom line is this just would not fit in his portfolio because his way of creating financial freedom is eat beans and rice instead of create more income. Well, I don't know. But anyway, Susie Orman hasn't written about it, so it must not be real.
I think that people, whether it's Susie Orman or Dave Ramsey or whatever, the financial advisors know that you have to generate more income.
Right.
That's a key component. They just don't teach it because there's a lot of stuff around how to make that happen. But Renatus teaches it.
Absolutely.
We teach people how to generate more income.
And another reason why more people don't do it is because mom and dad didn't do it. Okay, well, of course I didn't do it, did I, Kevin?
Did you institute velocity banking when
No.
I was growing up?
No.
I don't even know what that was until a year ago.
I know it exactly. And another reason more people don't do it is because their broke cousin said not to do it. And you might want to answer that real quick. When you go to someone that's broker than you are you going to get good, solid advice?
Typically not.
Typically not.
You said that quietly.
Typically not. So, Andy, have you ever had, since you've started down your path of real estate investing and business ownership, have you had some broke friends or family members give you advice about it or attempt to?
Definitely. It's just typically more questioning why, what, especially knowing my background and I had a great thing going. And I'm not knocking corporate America by any means.
Right.
It's just I chose a different path. And there's just a lack of understanding. It's a serious lack of understanding.
Yeah. Ignorance is a powerful force when it comes to create a new financial platform, isn't it?
It is
And
definitely.
it's amazing how many people choose to stay ignorant. I don't know anything about it, so I'm not going to do it. I'll just live paycheck to paycheck. Kevin, we have an upcoming business forum this week.
Yeah. So, okay, we're talking about this strategy to help you eliminate debt. We're talking about personal financing or personal finance strategies in education. So what's this all about? How do we find out more? What are you guys talking about? So this week, we're having our investor business forum. This is the opportunity for you to come down and meet Dr. G and myself. Meet Andy. He's a key leader in our team as well. And we want to show you what we've learned and what we've seen to change our financial situation. I'm going to give you our phone number in just a minute. Now, when you call, please speak slowly and clearly so we can get the right name and the right phone number and get back with you. Dr. G or I will call you back personally. The number you call is 602-730-5645. That's 602-730-5645. We look forward to meeting you. Come see what we're all about. There's absolutely no cost to you to find out about us.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to share a mental morsel with you, food for thought. This is a truth you can chew on and never gain weight. Here's that truth. If you find yourself in a hole, it's time to stop digging. What do you think about that mental morsel, Andy?
That hits right at home from my hole digging from the financial perspective.
Yeah, and you stopped digging the hole, you laid down the shovel, huh?
Absolutely. I threw that shovel away, broke it in several pieces.
Yeah, bless your heart.
Well, you stopped digging a hole and started building a foundation.
Right.
Andy, please tell Jody thank you for lending you to Kevin and I for this week's radio interviews. And before we leave, would you speak from your heart to the heart of our audience about coming to our business forum and why they should come? What are they going to experience?
Absolutely. Even beyond real estate investment, but from a personal financial strategy and foundation. This is something as an engineer with 2 engineering degrees, 16 years experience, I put the effort and due diligence into really proving this system out. And I have not found anything that can come anywhere near what Renatus has to offer from the education and the community and everything else. So give it a chance, be open-minded, be willing to step outside of your box and come check us out.
And just very quickly, you had a fellow come last week for the business forum, and they came to a property tour this last Saturday. Awesome guy. I think he had his eyes opened up. What do you think?
Absolutely. When the first time Chris and I met was over just on the phone, and within a couple minutes we were laughing and joking. He had, always wanted to be a real estate investor, but just never knew how to get into it.
Right.
And he found our group, and he is extremely excited to get started with us. He's already working on a couple different options with his girlfriend and him. And
yeah. Now, the last thing I want to say is, look how you're impacting other people's lives. Is that awesome?
It feels good. It really does.
It really feels good to see you being used of God to help other people change their financial future.
Absolutely.
Andy, thanks for being our special guest. Ladies and gentlemen, you may be having some difficult situations right now, and, well, life might be full of frustration and anxiety and conflict. I heard it said like this: when it comes to the storm, sometimes God calms the storm, and sometimes God lets the storm rage while he calms his child. You've got to make changes. You've got to decide you're going to create change, because if you wait for change just to happen, it may never happen. Either you're going to make the change or the change will make you. Success is not a destination, it's a journey. All that's given to anyone is given to you. Now, success is never final, but failure is never fatal. An investment in knowledge will pay you the best return on your investment. You are full of the power of success. Why do I say this? It's real simple. Greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world. I'm Dr. G, and I want you to create success. Why not start today? Hey, right now is a good time.
It's been said, the best way to predict your future is to create it. No matter your circumstances, there is a solution to your situation. Dr. G and Kevin invite you to explore the possibilities of creating a new financial platform that you control and no longer allow yourself to be controlled by the circumstances of your life. Visit them at wealthempowers.com. That's WealthEmpowers.com. Come and meet Dr. G and Kevin at the Investor Business Forum. Oh, one last thought. Isn't it time for you to stop making a living and start making a life? Call Dr. G and Kevin at 602-730-5645. That's 602-730-5645.